And now a continued reading of Chapter 1 of the 4 Crystal Blood Drops. Right. So where we last left off, Caleb and Mariana ran into each other, literally, at Fairy Fountain Park. Okay, we're caught up to speed. When Mariana got home, she threw her Walkman down on the table and it bounced once and went crashing to the floor. Her father peered over the paper. Noticing the red in her face, he quickly pulled the paper back up. Her mother came into the kitchen just then. "John, what is all this crashing about? Oh, you're home, I see. I've told you before, Mariana, when you go jogging in the morning, leave a note. I was going to notify the police if you didn't come home by 7:45. And oh, Mariana, you're crying. What's wrong?" her mother exclaimed, running up to Mariana and slipping an arm around her shoulder. "There was some jerk in the park, and he crashed right into me. Then he had the nerve to yell back at me when I yelled at him." "Oh, there, Mariana. Everything can't go your way all the time," her mother consoled her. "Oh, by the way, Johnny called." "That's awkward." "He's waiting for you and Bob's Pizza." I assume that's at Bob's Pizza. "He's expecting you around noon, I think. Oh, I wrote it down," her mother said, scurrying off to the telephone to look for the note. Mariana stalked off to her bedroom and changed into a bright pink tank top and a pair of bell-bottom jeans. She applied some makeup and fixed her hair, then sat around reading a book until 11:30 when she would head to Bob's Pizza to meet up with her boyfriend, Johnny, who has the same name as her dad. It's totally fine. When Caleb got home, he took off his jacket and shoes and made some breakfast. Is he getting home? Okay, well, all right. Then he thought about the girl he rammed in the park. Oh! All right, carrying on. She looked familiar. He had seen her somewhere before. He looked at his eggs on his plate and suddenly didn't feel hungry. He had to get to work soon at his father's lumber yard, but the girl... He finally decided that he must have seen her around town. Crystal Lake, parentheses, named after a pond that wasn't actually a lake at all, was a fairly small place. You could walk from one end of town to the other in 20 minutes. It only took 10 minutes to get to Fairy Fountain Park from his apartment. He must have seen her hanging out with her friends on Main Street or some other place. He felt better and gobbled down his eggs, took a shower, and headed off to his father's lumber yard. Anyway, he thought to himself as he got into his car, I don't need to be dwelling on an annoying little twerp like that. At noon, Mariana met Johnny out front of the pizza parlor. She ran up to him. Sorry about my phone. She ran up to him and threw her arms around him and gave him a big kiss. He replied to the kiss with, "Nice to see you, too." Mariana laughed and they headed into the pizza place. They both got a pepperoni slice and a soda and sat down in a booth. "Disgusting!" exclaimed Mariana after taking a bite of pizza. "I think it's pretty good," said Johnny through a mouthful. "Not the pizza," said Mariana. "This guy. I went for a jog this morning and I was listening to my new tape." "Oh, wow. When this total idiot came out of nowhere and sent me flying," shouted Mariana. Johnny looked a little embarrassed because some of the people were staring at them. Honey, could you turn it down a notch?" "I mean, really," Mariana bellowed. "What kind of moron just comes out tearing out of nowhere?" And Johnny slapped Mariana's pizza out of her hand and onto her plate, which got her attention. She looked shocked. Mariana, sweetie, could you not be so loud?" Mariana looked around the restaurant. Everyone was staring at her. She giggled nervously and picked her pizza back up. "Okay," she said much more quietly. "So anyway, I'm really ticked off with this dummy." "You!" came a voice from the booth behind Mariana. She spun around and was face to face with Caleb, who was eating alone. "You!" screeched Mariana. Attention was once again on Mariana. Johnny leapt up and grabbed Mariana, who was screaming at Caleb, who was shouting right back, and pulled her out of Bob's. Okay, now just calm down, Johnny said, as Mariana took several deep breaths and looked at Johnny right in the face and smiled. Didn't think that's where that was going. Are you okay now? He asked quite seriously. Yeah, I'm fine. Let's go for a walk, okay? She suggested. Okay, that sounds like a plan. I'm just going to go get our drinks and then we can walk and talk, okay? He said okay so many times the word seemed to be losing its meaning. Really, because I feel like Mariana's losing its meaning. She stood there with Johnny's hands on her shoulders and smiled again. Johnny went in to get the drinks, and the next thing he knew, Caleb was outside and they were yelling again. He sighed angrily and threw the sodas in the trash. That just seems wasteful. And stormed out the door. He grabbed Mariana around the waist and literally dragged her down the street and around the corner, Mariana screaming obscenities all the way. Caleb was shouting back, waving his fist at her. When Johnny let go of Mariana, she spun around and glared at him. All right, said Johnny, not wanting to say okay again. He has overused that. You're telling me this all started because you two slammed into each other at the park. Yes, said Mariana. And you two now hate each other's guts because of it, he said, not believing her. Yes, he is the most stupidest man on earth, she exclaimed. Okay, why exactly? Mariana opened her mouth and closed it again. I don't know why. He just is. I'm going home now, she yelled, and spun on her heel and walked off. It would have been very dramatic, except she tripped on a stone and fell, and then started to bawl like a baby. So Johnny came to her rescue, and they went for their walk after all. There are no similarities to Sailor Moon. Caleb returned to work in a rage. He walked into his father's office and slumped into a chair. He stuck out his lower lip, and his father laughed. Caleb, you haven't done that since you were 10 years old and wanted that dog, laughed his father. So what, said Caleb, half pouting, half enraged. The combination of emotions. So what happened, said his father, removing his glasses and setting them, down on the table. I don't think I understood punctuation when I was this age. There's this girl, Caleb started. His father let out a tremendously loud laugh, which made Caleb nearly jump out of his skin. His father was a large man with a huge belly. He resembled Santa Claus, while Caleb was lean and broad-shouldered. Oh, sorry. Punctuation error again. Caleb had all his muscles firmed from carting lumber all over the yard. Women, exclaimed his father. You either love 'em or hate 'em. He laughed. No, said Caleb, half laughing himself. He's just gone through a palette of emotions. There's a very annoying girl. She has run into me twice today, and I just hate her so much. And why would this be? I mean, you don't just bump into someone. Not bump, slam, corrected Caleb. Okay, slam into someone twice and start hating them. Hate is a very powerful thing. Twice? Did I forget the second time they ran into each other? Okay, so I don't hate her, but I never want to see her again. Hold on. Oh, okay. Oh dear, said Evening Fate, this isn't turning out very well. She was watching Caleb talk to his father, while Afternoon Fate was watching Mariana and Johnny in the park. They were watching them on televisions that were made with magic and clouds. Morning Fate chuckled and patted young Evening Fate's head. This is all part of the plan, laughed Morning. You can't start something out good right away. That's common knowledge, Evening Fate. The next day, Mariana woke up at 10 in the morning. She loved waking up late in summer. She patted Star, who was purring at the foot of the bed. She hopped out of bed, grabbed her fuzzy housecoat, and skipped off to the bathroom. She entered the bathroom and turned on the shower, just as her mother called out that Johnny was on the phone. I'll call him back, shouted Mariana, stepped into the hot water. She closed her eyes and let the water pour over her face, then had a disturbing vision. She was standing in the center of Crystal Lake. We're going to go with the town. By the fountain in Fairy Fountain Park. She slit her hand with a gold dagger, then fell to the ground. Her Her blood didn't bleed, however. It simply turned into a little crystal. Then the wound healed. She pulled her face out of the water in the shower and looked to the side. She stood there for some time until she realized since she just woke up from a long night's sleep. So she must have drifted off for a minute and dreamed it. When she called Johnny, he informed her that he had run into Caleb. Okay, that's just me. When she called Johnny, he informed her that he had run into that Caleb fellow yesterday around 6. He and Caleb had chatted about the incident and both agreed that there was no reason to be so angry. He also said for Mariana to meet them both at Fairy Fountain in an hour. Mariana was mad at Johnny for talking to such a jerk, but she was even madder when she found out she was meeting with this nerd again for the 3rd time in 2 days. She pulled out an oversized t-shirt and a pair of jean cutoffs so she would look as though it was a big hassle to come. Oh, wow, she's crafty. Then she pinned her hair up in a messy bun and set off, grumpily. She began imagining herself hitting the guy in the face and running off with Johnny, both of them laughing. This cheered her up a bit. When she got there, Johnny and Caleb were talking. Johnny waved, grinning ear to ear. "Caleb's a pretty nice guy," he said, starting the conversation off on a good thing, hoping it would stay that way. "Yeah, started Mariana, but she stopped when she looked at Caleb right in the face. He was the handsomest man she had ever seen. He had deep green eyes, the color of pine. He also had short, but flowing, black hair. His face was perfect. He smiled a big fake smile, but when he noticed she was staring. "So nice to meet you," she said in kind of a daze. Hey. "Nice to see you too," Caleb lied. He didn't know what this Johnny kid saw in her. She wore her hair in 2 braids. No. Did she change it on the way? It was brown, and she had brown eyes. She was kind of cute, but Caleb was definitely not attracted to her in the least. Looking at his watch, he said, "Well, my break is almost over. Bye, Johnny," he said, getting up and walking off. "See, I knew that would go well," said Johnny, looking up at Mariana, who was watching Caleb walk away, her eyes glowing. End chapter 1.